Hi students, today we're going to review this nonfiction reading strategy that I call the read, cover, jot, reread strategy. We're going to do this with a nonfiction text about plants. The first part of the strategy is to read the nonfiction text that you're using. So, parts of a plant. Flowering plants are busy throughout the day and night. During the hours of daylight, the leaves collect the sun's energy. The plant then uses this energy to create food in the forms of sugars. The second process is carried out in the dark. As the food is produced, it has to be transported away from the leaves to the places where it is needed. At the same time, water and minerals, which the roots have absorbed from the soil, have to be carried in opposite directions to the furthest stems and branches. Respiration, the way in which the plant breathes, occurs throughout the 24 hours, just as in animals. As the plant matures, it embarks on the complicated process of growing flowers, producing and receiving pollen, and eventually scattering seed. So now that I've read my text, I want to cover up the text so I'm not copying the important information. So I use a sticky note or a post-it note to record what I remember from the text that stuck out to me as being important. So first thing that sticks out to me is that they use the sun's energy to make food. I also remember that the food is transported from the leaves to other parts of the plant. Next, I remember that the roots absorb water, I'm going to use an abbreviation for water, and minerals from the soil. So we're going to get a different one. Stick that on top so I'm still covered. And next, that the plants breathe like animals, and us as humans are animals. And finally, the life cycle they briefly talked about at the end of that the plants, they need to grow flowers. They need and make pollen. And finally, they need to scatter seed. So to me, those were the most important things that stuck out in my mind about what I read. So now that we have read, covered, and jotted, we need to go back and reread. So I'm just going to remove my post-it notes so I can compare what my brain remembers to the actual text so that I know the information is correct. So flowering plants are busy throughout the day and night. During the hours of daylight, the leaves collect the sun's energy, and they use the energy to create food in the form of sugars. The second process is carried out in the dark, and as the food is produced, it will be transported away from the leaves to the places where it is needed. So that one's factual. At the same time, water and minerals, which the roots have absorbed from the soil, will be carried in the opposite direction. So that piece is accurate as well. Respiration, the way that in plants breathe, occurs throughout the 24 hours, just as in animals. And finally, as the plant matures, it embarks on the complicated process of growing flowers, producing and receiving pollen, and eventually scattering seed. So that completes my read, jot, reread strategy. Notice on my post-it notes, I did not write incomplete sentences because I am taking the most important pieces of information and putting them in my own words.